A hallmark sign of relationships that are affected by your past trauma is confusion around the feeling of jealousy. You're dating someone, you're in love with them, but there's something they're doing that just keeps telling you that you're not safe, they can't be trusted. There's something going on behind your back and maybe you're about to get abandoned. And the confusion is, am I just being overly jealous and acting crazy? Or is my jealousy the right feeling, but I'm too crazy to leave this person who's making me feel this way? And since a lot of us are very good at making both mistakes, it's so important to ask for help. And that's what someone I'll call Gretchen is doing in the letter that she sent me the other day. And she says, "Hey Anna, I need your help. I'm torn. I have CPTSD, and before watching your videos, I never thought that I may be gaslighting myself by blaming everything on my OCD and anxiety." So OCD, you may know, obsessive compulsive disorder. "But now I know that we do stay in bad relationships and others are actually wrong sometimes. I'm stuck here, not able to understand whether my OCD is pushing me to get out of a good relationship or my CPTSD is forcing me to stay in a bad one." Got the fairy pencil. I'm going to circle a few things that I want to come back to, but I'll read all the way through so you can hear Gretchen's letter, and then we'll address the things I circled. All right. "I entered this relationship 1 year ago, and there was a lot of back and forth, and by that I think she means that they broke up and got back together a lot, which is, a recipe for trauma bonding. So I had always been honest with him about my mental health problems, so all the problems initially were blamed on my anxiety. Interestingly, by both of us. So they were both blaming her for the relationship problem, saying it was because of her anxiety or OCD. Okay. "It took me a few months and a few of your videos to realize that I have formed poor boundaries, that I have apologized for saying things that felt important to me and giving a yes to all his demands. And that was not healthy. I tried to improve, but as soon as I put up a boundary, there was a huge, sad, angry, stonewalling, social media blocking, patching up again situation." Okay. "Anna, is it right to ask him to limit his friendship with a girl who used to like him some time back, and that their friendship has incidents that have made me feel insecure? At the beginning of our relationship, he told me she is his best friend and that she liked him some time back. I was okay with it. Next, I found out she used to do his schoolwork for him, but that was before we got together. So I said, well, that was okay, but don't do it from now on. And yes, he never asked her to do that again. After a year together, there were incidents when his friends teased about her in front of me. They don't hang out alone, but I can sense that they are close. She sometimes used to come up in our conversations. Since I'm bad at expressing my needs, I often try to tell him my insecurities in a kind of code. Like I told him that I feel bad when she brags on social media that he's her best friend. And the interesting thing is, I never get a proper answer, not more than or sad face emoji. Last week on her birthday, he posted a picture on a WhatsApp story of the two of them sitting too close together. I felt so hurt and got really angry. I asked if, when you knew I would feel bad, why did you post that? And he was like, she posted a picture of us together on my birthday, so I did it too, tit for tat. He also said that he knew I would feel so bad, he was thinking of hiding the story from me, but he just didn't do it. After that, he told me to put it aside and talk about something else. After 1 week of feeling gaslighted and super anxious, I reached out again yesterday to him and boldly said that I don't want them to hang out at parties. And I want them to communicate less, maybe only for work. We debated for 2 hours and he was stubborn on giving her a party on his birthday as she gave it to him on her last year's birthday. That's interesting. They give each other a party when it's their birthday. Okay. Throughout, he told me about how good a person she is. I think about this all the time. I've been in really bad mental health ever since this happened. I fear similar things can happen in the future because he never assured me or even acknowledged my feelings. I'm always anxious. I don't know why I am feeling that bad. Is it because OCD is making a small thing such a big thing? Or is CPTSD gaslighting me again? Maybe I'm wrong here and ready to accept it. it is impacting me that much. I can leave too, but that is super hard. I go back. We've tried that in our back and forth time. I could never hold back and thought of him not being in my life. So dreadful. No matter how much I make up my mind, I fear I would go back. My father is an alcoholic, and I have seen my mother always fighting over his addiction and ending up apologizing to him and also convincing him to have dinner or breakfast or whatever. If it is really OCD and anxiety, I will work on it. But if it's not, I don't want to stay here. Please help me out. I'm 22 and he is 21, and we are in the same college, and so is that girl. Sorry for writing so much. Thank you. Gretchen. Okay, Gretchen, I got you here. So I have a lot to say. The first thing I want to make sure you know is I'm not a therapist or a doctor, so I can't address whether OCD is at play here. I have a familiarity with CPTSD, and until that formally is diagnosable in my country, I have a lot of freedom to just sort of say, yeah, it sounds like you have it to me. I mean, once somebody has an alcoholic parent and there's a lot of fighting, it's pretty understandable if they have CPTSD or an attachment wound that makes it really hard to leave. But I did a little research on OCD because I wanted to understand, well, what would make somebody with OCD get really jealous? And there is a thing, and you probably know this, you didn't write me about it, but I don't know if this is what you have, but it sure rang a bell, according to your story, called retroactive jealousy. And it's a feature of some kinds of OCD where somebody is thinking all the time about what their partner did in the past with a constant fear that they're going to leave them, and there would be a lot of checking of their social media, maybe sneaking and looking at their texts or messages and things, and then getting a little bit of relief when they see nothing there, but then the anxiety just comes back again. So I read about that, and I can't diagnose you, I don't know, but what you're describing sounds a lot like that, and I'll tell you why I think so. So you're 22 and he's 21, and I basically calibrate what I think is kind of healthy behavior for your ages. I think if you guys were 45 and you were married and you had a husband who had a best friend who was a woman and was always posting pictures about how close they are, then it would be a little bit of a different response, okay? But you're very young, you're in college, and his best friend is this woman, and he told you that going in, right? And you have not been able to let it go since then. And so the stuff you're telling me, I really don't have insight about him. You told me just a little bit about him, but what you've described in your relationship is that they're friends. On their birthdays, they throw parties for each other. They don't hang out alone. And he says she's a really good person. And what else about her? And then he posted pictures of this is my best friend. And she posted pictures too. You called it bragging, but I call it, I don't know, just really normal. Just really normal. When you have a really good friend, it's totally normal and okay to put pictures up. Now I agree if he has a girlfriend, a very serious girlfriend, and there comes a time in the evolution of the seriousness of a relationship that a healthy person is going to sort of preference the romantic relationship over the friendships. But a year into a relationship that's been on again, off again, really difficult, where he's getting a lot of pressure not to have the friendships he has, and that he's 21 and he's in college, I think that it's really normal and okay for him to have a really close friend and to have that override how it affects you. And I know that hurts. I assume it's a sexual relationship, and what's really natural in a sexual relationship is just feel like you want to be that person to them. You want to be cared for, and number one, you want to be the top consideration and how you feel about it. But you're not, and I do think that's appropriate for the station of the relationship. So that's hard to take. One way to cope with that is to go a lot slower getting into relationships that maybe, I'm not going to be able to fully address whether this is OCD, but it does seem you call it your needs, that you're really bad at expressing your needs, but I just want to tell you, controlling other people's friendships is not one of your needs. Your needs, strictly speaking, your needs are met well before you're in a relationship with a romantic partner. You meet your needs. And when you're sick or you're unable to care for for yourself, then your family, to some degree society, your friends, they help meet your needs. You know, they might drive you to a hospital or come make sure you have something to eat. That would be helping to meet your needs. Now you get into a romantic relationship, and I think what you're talking about is a need to never feel scared and jealous. Now nobody wants to feel scared and jealous. That's a drag. It's not fun to feel scared and jealous. Now most of the time I'm responding to letters from people who are saying, you know, maybe I'm just being too jealous, and I'm like, I don't know, the guy is sleeping with other people and that would be cause for jealousy, and maybe you're not crazy. I don't think you're crazy, but we tell ourselves we're crazy sometimes, and a little bit I think you're trying to figure out, is this OCD or CPTSD? And it may be CPTSD is making it hard for you to leave when you're so unhappy. But I think if this guy's making you unhappy, you have a pretty high bar of feeling safe. And that might be hard to do in an early relationship when you're young, is to say you can't have female friends and you can't work, I don't want you to talk to them. I think it might be easier for you to see if I reverse the genders and just sort of say, if a man told a woman she's not allowed to talk to male friends and he wants her to reduce that, you might be able to sense how controlling to the point of emotional abuse that is. So first, I just want to encourage you. It's like, please allow him to be himself. What we do in a relationship is we get together with people as they are, and we decide, you know, does that work for me? Do I feel happy in this relationship? Now, you definitely don't feel happy in this relationship, so I don't think it's working for you. If you're not able to leave as a result of your unhappiness, and that's what we do with CPTSD and with trauma wounds, and especially like what happened when you were growing up with the alcoholism, we do this thing where we're like, I don't feel loved and I am miserable all the time, but I'm just going to keep trying to convince you that you should love me. And that would be true for a kid, like the parents should love the kid. But a romantic partner, there's no obligation there to come through and, you know, make your feelings how you want them to be. It's abusive, actually, emotionally, to try to control people's relationships. And it's not in their best interest to stay with you, and because he just gives you the sad face and or the sad emoji and the when you say, I want you to stop talking to your best friend. I don't know, that's a sign of health to me, and the fact that he won't stop is a boundary that he's setting for you. And so I encourage you to look at that. A healthy-ish person is setting a boundary saying, look, I'm going to have my friend. You're not able to leave. And I think that's really normal for somebody with CPTSD. And I think what's likely to happen is that he's going to end up leaving. That's probably what's going to happen. So you had said you're going to work on it. If I don't know if it's OCD, but I do think that it's on you right now, that you need to let go, let him be who he is, and decide for yourself if this relationship works for you. And as much as it does, you know, try to be loving and supportive of somebody. It's good to have best friends. I get that you're jealous. This thing where she did his homework for him, I don't know. That's a little unethical, but that's not really your business, right? It might be a reason why you're not comfortable with him because it's unethical, but you know, he just gets to be him and you get to be you. He gets to be him, you get to be you. Love means you love who the person is. Dating is a time to get to know people and get to know yourself in a relationship and just sort of see, like, is this somebody I could really go the distance with? Is this somebody that I could get even closer to? And I would say in this relationship, like, the signs aren't there. You're totally uncomfortable with who he is. He's got a boundary. I encourage you to, you know, whatever has been working for you for the OCD, keep doing that. Keep doing that. It does, you know, just from what I read, it just sounds like, and what I read about OCD and when it sort of activates this kind of jealousy that won't let go, is that it's probably neurological. And if that's the case, wow, you know, at least you know, it's like you're not a bad person, you're not crazy, but there's some sort of like brain thing that's going on that's making you read the situation in a way that's not commonly accepted by the culture. Now, you might be in a slightly different culture than me, I don't know. I noticed that in your letter, I did edit your letter a little bit for clarity that sounded like maybe English isn't your first language. So it might be a little different, but nonetheless, I still insist, like, to truly love somebody, you want them to have good friends, you trust them. So he has good friends, you don't trust him, and so it's impossible for you to feel safe with him. I don't think he's a bad guy, I just think it's not working for you, and that I would really encourage you to work on that part of you that's getting jealous and wanting to control somebody, rather than what none of us know how to do right out of the gate. It takes so much practice to slowly get involved with somebody and see if you're comfortable with them. Meanwhile, working on your own healing. And you did such a good job of just saying, you know, I don't know, you're just like all of us. I don't know if it's me just being too, jealous, or if it's me putting up with a bad relationship. He doesn't sound like a bad guy, okay? I hope that helps you, Gretchen. If this topic speaks to anybody out there, I've got a video lined up that's about trauma reactions that can ruin your chances of finding love. And I've got that right here. And I'll see you very soon.